Hello, everyone. Welcome to One Big Question, where each week we take a look at one question that is active amongst the student body. My name is Father Pete McCormick, and I'm joined by my co-host.
How are we doing, Father Pete? My name is Lynette Wilkie. I'm a senior from PW, and I'm super excited for today's topic on One Big Question.
So, you may have noticed that we've changed the name from TLDR to One Big Question. What we realized is that after a 13-minute video, you really can't call anything TLDR or frankly TLDW. So we decided to go with One Big Question, where we can kind of get at the core of what we're trying to address and perhaps be a little bit more clear about what we're trying to accomplish. So with that, Lynette, I'll have you talk a little bit about what we're going to try to do today.
Absolutely, and I think that's in the spirit of being transparent. We tried something and it kind of didn't work, but I mean, it was still a great episode. But we're going to try to keep this one a little shorter. And today we are going to tackle a question that a lot of the student body has been concerned about, but we also want actual questions from you. So please check us out on all social media, but especially Instagram at Notre Dame, and swipe up on the story, send us a DM with your question. Today's question is, what are students most excited about and what are they most concerned about with the spring semester? And we have three great guests: Charlie Donnelly, a senior from Steads who is now off campus, Ellie Rodriguez, a sophomore from PW, and Teresa Azamar, a senior from Baden and is now also off campus. So thank you to everyone who agreed to be on the show today, and welcome to One Big Question.
Thanks, Lynette, for having us.
Of course. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
So I want to start off and say, so what is everyone most excited about this semester? I know it's going to be looking different, but you got to be excited for something. So yeah, Ellie, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. I think this semester I'm most excited really to just get a second chance. I think we overlooked the fact that a lot of schools haven't had the chance to go back yet, and we're getting, not only did we get the fall semester, but we're getting a second chance, and we get to learn from our mistakes and just try to do better the second time around. So fingers crossed it'll all go good.
Absolutely. Charlie, what about you?
If I had to pick one thing, I would say I'm most excited for saliva testing. No,
okay.
Just kidding. But I am kind of a lot similar to what Ellie said. I am really excited to be able to still do the activities that make it feel like it's a normal semester, because there's a lot of things that we don't get to do, obviously, but there's a few little things that are not kind of little things that I am most excited about, that like my little dorm fundraisers, going to practice, little things like that that make me feel like I'm still actively engaged in this community, because it's just there's just some space between us.
Absolutely.
But I'm still ecstatic to be here.
Yeah, and Teresa, what about you?
Yeah, so I would say what I'm most excited about, and this is a little bit nerdy, but I'm excited to have another chance to just study what I love and what I care about. It does sound nerdy, but I'm an American Studies major, and in the era that we're living in right now, I'm realizing that a lot of what I've been learning in class really matters and is really important. And I'm not going back to school right away next year, and so I'm when am I going to have another opportunity to sit at a round table and have a discussion on a bunch of great books? And so I'm excited to just give that one more shot.
Absolutely. And it doesn't sound nerdy. People forget we are here to learn. So, I mean, that's kind of the point of college, but yeah, I would say, I think I'm excited for what everyone else is excited for, to be back. And even though it'll be limited, see some of my friends and kind of find places and ways to make the most out of what is going to be my last semester. I hate to say that, but, and I mean, I love Notre Dame as much as all of you guys. And I think that we're just really lucky to get to be here, even in this capacity. But what about you, Father Pete? What are you excited about?
I'm really excited for all the students to return. I've been kind of walking campus largely by myself for the past, almost 10 weeks now. And so just to have the life that comes with students being around campus is something I'm really excited for. Campus is different when students are here. So I'm pumped. Let's roll.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure. I'm sure everyone who's still here in South Bend is excited to get everybody back. But also, I want to be honest and talk about our concerns. I mean, this semester is going to look different, just like the fall did. So yeah, Ellie, if you want to kick it off, what are you nervous about? What are your concerns?
Yeah, I think my biggest concern really is that after such a long break and pulling people back in from all over the world, really, where COVID rules look different and are enforced different, just having to adjust back to the rules that, fit South Bend and the Notre Dame community most. And just, making sure that everyone is flexible enough to understand that, like, okay, the rules might be different than they were back home or just enforced differently, but we need to take the measures that we are taking to protect not just like people on campus, but also the South Bend community as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlie?
Yeah, my biggest concern would probably be I would say the expectation of the student body for what this semester is going to be, because it seems like at this point, and it kind of evolved over last semester, there's two groups of people, generally speaking, the people who are kind of like, or at least seniors, at least from my experience, like last semester, best semester, like this sucks and we should probably try and make the most of it. And so like kind of like nothing held back kind of attitude. But then there's also the people who like kind of feel like the semester is broken beyond repair. And my worry is that that gap is just not going to get any smaller, and that these two types of students are going to continue to like get just so much more into those demographics, I guess. And so I'm just worried that that disconnect between the student body that wasn't there before COVID is going to get worse.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people have that concern. So it's very valid. Teresa, what about you?
Yeah, I think I'm most concerned about the workload on students and faculty and staff as well. I'm hoping that our professors still continue to manage their expectations for us. Of course, I respect that they think highly of us, and we are fairly resilient people, but at the same time, I know that like it's really like it's easier now than ever before to just get overwhelmed or to need more of a break. And so I'm hoping that there that just because it's the second semester, we don't start to think that like, oh, everyone's fine now. We've all adapted to like this new situation. Like we still need to be patient with one another.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that my biggest concern is patience for one another and kind of, I mean, Ellie, you said it perfectly. We're all coming from very different worlds at this point, as far as COVID restrictions. And I think that we just need to be patient with one another and understanding and empathetic. But I think my biggest concern is that I won't get like the second senior semester everyone else gets. And I know that that's true. I already know that a lot of the things won't be available, but that doesn't mean I'm not upset about it. And that doesn't mean that I'm not concerned about it. So I think that we all need to be honest and say, yes, we've been living in a COVID world for however long, but that doesn't mean you don't get to be upset about and mourn kind of the loss of experience. But I want to thank you all for airing those grievances and kind of just talking about your concerns, because I mean, that's what we have to do as a campus, is kind of talk about our concerns, even if there's not answers. Father Pete, did you want to close us out or give us a concern, either one?
Yeah, you bet. And I appreciate the honesty that everyone's offered in the midst of this, because, this pandemic has taught us that it hits us individually and uniquely in different ways. And so for us to be able to honestly reflect from our own experience with an understanding that every person that comes to campus is going to have a little bit of a different reason for concern and another reason for hope. This is the unique reality of us as human beings. But one of the things that I think we at Notre Dame do best is being mindful of the collective mission of what we're trying to accomplish. And when you think about what I do believe is a genuinely noble mission that we're being sent out on with the spring semester, to come together as a community, to do so mindful of the fact that there are any number of people who would love to be where we're at, but there are also any number of people who grow anxious about the possibility of being in this setting. For us to presume and assume goodwill with one another, to genuinely lead with tenderness and kindness. These, in my mind, are the opportunities that are placed before us. And if I were to name any kind of worry, that it would be that throughout the course of the semester, because of losses that we have endured or worries that we might have, that we begin to be less than who we are called to be as Notre Dame. So when I think about the possibility of the spring semester, I do believe it's really genuinely rooted in the mission. And will that look different than it has in semesters past? Yes. But I do believe genuinely that there's goodness and there's possibility that continues to emerge. And so my hope is that we can grasp on that and cling to it throughout the course of the semester. My worry is that we might not necessarily allow those voices to kind of ring true in our own minds. And as a result, perhaps we go down darker roads where we begin to be frustrated with one another, and we cease to appreciate the opportunity that we have to be collectively in this community and to be about, as Teresa was talking about, the great learning that Notre Dame aspires toward.
Yeah, thank you, Father Pete, for that. And I think we're really excited for the coming weeks to get your questions and bring on real experts to answer all of your concerns and get it all out there. Thank you to our guests for being on today, and let's have a great semester. And as always, go Irish.
Go Irish.